Once you've imported your data from Excel into Access, you can start creating the queries you need to answer the questions you need to analyze for your final report to SCI. One of the first things you want to do is, well, what's our ending cash balance? So one of the, to just come up with some basic balance sheet items, you want to be able to calculate the ending balance of an account. So for our cash account, we can take a look at our cash table, and you can see here the cash table tells us what our beginning balance was for the various cash accounts we have. Well, we also have activity over the quarter. We've got the cash receipts that we have taken in. We're going to have the cash disbursements to the fishermen that we've made. And we've got the miscellaneous cash disbursements that we've made. We're going to have cash disbursements for the returns as well. And then we also have payroll that we need to consider. So let's go ahead and add those together. I'll go ahead and close cash. And we're going to create a query. And I always try and use the query wizard when I can. And in this case, we can use a simple query wizard to go ahead and get started. We're going to use the cash table. And we'll select, since we just want to sum up the balance from January 1st for all of our cash accounts, we're just going to choose that one field, click Next, and then show that we want to create a summary of that data. And we could check the options, and we want to actually sum that beginning balance, the January 1st balance. You can also perform other calculations on it. We'll click OK. Click Next, and let's go ahead and call this beginning balance cash query. And when we click Finish, it's going to open it up so we can take a look at it. And you can see here we just have one field, one piece of data that's basically the sum of our January 1st, 2013 balance. We can go back home and take a look at the design, and you can see here we basically pulled in the balance January 1st, 2013, and then created a sum for it. We could also take a look at the SQL, and you can see here it's select from cash, the balance, and we're going to sum them together. Okay, sum of cash. Okay, so we've got cash, we've got our beginning balance cash query. Now we'll just go through the same process to get our receipts, cash disbursements for the four categories, fish, miscellaneous, for our returns, and our payroll. So we'll go ahead and do that real quickly. Okay, so now we have all those tables, or all those queries for our quarter one activity and our beginning balances. We're ready to create a final query that gives us our ending cash balance. Now in this case, we're just going to go ahead and get into query design, because we're going to pull in data from multiple queries. Now you'll see here we can list just the tables, we can list the queries, or we can list both. Well, we want both our beginning balance number that we have and all of the quarter one activity. So we're going to add all 6 of those tables, close. And at this point, I can basically just say I want a field that's going to calculate beginning cash balance, add my receipts, and then subtract all my disbursements. And I can do that by going into this field and clicking build. I'm going to build a formula for this field. And here you can see I've got all kinds of types of elements I can add to my formula, or my expression as Access calls it. I can add functions much like you would see in Excel. I can do conversion from text to numeric and vice versa. I've got my basic math and geometry type functions. I can also take a look at the left characters of text just like we did in Excel. But in this case, all I want are some of the fields from my queries. So I'm going to go to my beginning balance of cash query, and I'm going to bring that into my expression, and then I'll add, just a plus sign, my, let's see, my cash receipts. Then I'll subtract my various disbursements. Check them out for cash disbursements Fishers, miscellaneous amount. Oop, I forgot to put my minus sign in there. So minus sign there. I've already done the cash receipts, so I'll do the payroll query, sum of net pay, and minus my returns, which is basically cash that I've given back. So now I've got a big long formula that basically looks like something we would put in the formula bar in Excel. Beginning balance cash plus cash receipts minus cash disbursements to the Fishers minus cash disbursements miscellaneous minus my payroll net pay and minus my returns. So I can now click OK, and I've got this, and rather than calling it expression 1, I'll call it ending cash balance. And I can go and view this, and I now have an ending cash balance that I can look at. So if we've got a beginning balance of 600,000, cash receipts of 1.3 million, cash disbursements to the Fishers of 697, another 7,500 of miscellaneous, $481 in returns, 192 in payroll. That looks somewhat reasonable, so you can always double check this with your calculator to make sure you're getting exactly what you want. Certainly if you're uncertain at that point, then you can go back to your cash table, add up the amounts, or you can actually ask it to give you totals in the table listing there, and you can see 603,708.45, which hopefully matches what we have there. So lots of ways to check what you have in Access. There's one way to pull all your different tables summaries together and create a good query that gives you an ending balance. Last thing we'll do is when we save this query, we'll save it with a name. So we'll close it, save the changes, and we will now call this ending Q1 ending balance cash. And of course you can name your queries in a way that's meaningful to you. It should be, you should have some kind of a structure to your naming conventions so that you can go back and find things later on and understand, well, okay, I understand why that is named the way it is, and I can now make use of it. Next, we'll take a look at how we might use a couple queries to sum up customer sales, sum up customer cash receipts to see how we're doing with accounts receivable. Now we want to create an accounts receivable query by customer. So let's just say we want to first figure out how much each customer how much we've sold to each customer, and then how much each customer has paid over the quarter. So the first thing we'll do is we will create a new query. We're going to use the query design tool this time because we're going to link some tables together and bring them together. So we'll just click query design, and the first thing that pops up is it gives us the opportunity to add whatever tables or queries we want to. We've seen this before, and so we'll add the customer table. And for this first query, we'll make it the sales. So we'll add the sales table. And then remember, since we have a linking table between sales and items, we'll add the sales items table. And you can see it brings in the relationships we had from the relationships window. And I'll go ahead and expand these so we can see a little bit more of what's in each table. All right, so we've got a customer number. We definitely want that. So we just drag it right down into our query builder area. We want the customer name. And now let's bring in the order information. Well, let's start with the order number. And let's see, they ordered some different types of fish, the quantity sold and the sales price. So we'll bring in quantity sold, we'll bring in the sales price. And now we can flip and see what we've got in the datasheet view. All right, so I've got my customer number, their name, what's their order number, how many did I sell, and what was the price per unit. So now I know one thing I need to do in addition to that is calculate my extended price for this line item. So we'll go to the build tool and build an expression that is going to be a combination. We're going to pull the two fields from this table from the order sales item, and we're going to basically do quantity sold times sale price. So we click OK. We'll take a quick look at that, and $7.78 times 29 becomes $225.62. That looks good. I don't like the expression 1, so I'll go back and change that to extended price. All right, so that looks good. We've got a price per line item, but you'll see right here in this very first order, they bought 3 different types of fish. And I can demonstrate that by, we'll just bring in the fish code here as well, just so that we can see that. Yeah, they bought flounder, mackerel, swordfish in that one order. So the next thing we want to do is let's take the fish code back out. We'll just highlight the whole column, press delete to get rid of that. Now we actually don't want the details. We want to find out. Let's first go by order number. So we'll go get rid of the quantity sold, get rid of the sale price, and now we've got our extended price for the order. And just like in Excel, we can use some tools to build some summations as we go. So we'll total all this, and you'll see it defaults to group by. So we're going to group by customer name, order number, and then we're going to sum that extended price. So now if we go to view, we've got customer number, name, order number 1. Here's their extended price, $270. For the next order, we have $1,404.81. And so on down the line, $17.90.24 for order number 90033. Now, and really this isn't the extended price, this is the order total now. So we'll change the name to a better descriptive name, order total, and that looks a little bit better. But we really want to know how much the customer as a whole has ordered, how much we've sold to each customer. So let's get rid of that order number, and now we've got not an order total anymore, but a customer sales total. And more specifically, it's a Q1 customer sales total. So we take a look at that, and we can see now customer ATLA 001, we have sold $10,457.01 of fish to. All right, so we've built a nice query. We're going to call that Q1 customer sales query. Now we're going to do more or less the same thing for the cash receipts we've gotten from customers. So we're going to create a new query. So we'll go to the query design. And at this point we need our customers table again. And we'll select the cash receipts table. And we'll expand those so that we can see everything. Now we've kind of walked through the step-by-step drill. What I want to do now is I just want to cut to the chase. Here I'm going to bring in customer number. I'm going to bring in my name. I'm going to bring in the cash receipt amount. Then I'm going to group by customer number. And I'm going to sum that receipt amount. Now I run my view, and I can see here I've got sum of receipts. Well, let's call that, and we can give something a different name just by typing in a name for the field in front of a colon. So we'll just call this Q1 customer cash receipts total. Q1 total customer cash receipts. All right, so now we take a look at it. We've got our customer number, the customer name, Q1 total customer cash receipts. All right, things are looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and save this, and we'll call this Q1 customer cash receipts query. So we've got our two basic queries. We've got total sales by customer. We now have total cash receipts by customer. Let's create a final query that pulls those in. So now instead of showing the tables, we'll show the query. We'll bring in our customer cash receipts query and our sales query and close that. I'll bring in my customer number. I'll bring in my customer name. I'll bring in my total customer cash receipts, and I'll bring in my customer sales, and I'm going to move this around so that I've got the sales in front of the cash receipts. And my final field, I can do it again with an expression. I'll build an expression that includes from my queries customer sales total minus customer cash receipts total customer cash receipts. So I click OK. Now one thing I want to make sure I do is link my tables together. I've just created these queries, so I don't have them in my relationships window, but I want to make sure I link these by customer. So I, just like I would in my relationships table, I can link in my query my customer number, and I'm going to say I want to know all the customers that I've made cash receipts to, so that's option number 2 here, all records from the left-hand query here, and then anything in the right-hand query that matches. So I'll click OK, And now I've got my expression 1, which I will change to Q1 customer AR balance. And if we go look at that, now we've got customer sales 10,457.01, cash receipts the same amount. My AR balance for that particular customer is now 0, and I can scan down here and see my outstanding balance for my various customers. So we have created a customer sales query, we have created a customer cash receipts query, and now we have created our what we'll now call Q1 customer AR balance query. And I've been putting spaces in before, so I'll do that again. So hopefully with these techniques you can start asking the questions and building the components you need to start answering some questions to determine how your business is doing based on the data that you've collected about your business.